everyone, welcome back to the Tabletop Corps. Today we got a special video for you because Josh did a thing.
Our last tournament we went to, the one we've been practicing for, I ended up winning.
Congratulations.
Thank you. CJ did take second. He keeps bringing it down, but he did take second. So we just wanted to go over a little video. It's with the new Grey Knights Codex, so obviously anyone who's watched this knows that Grey Knights are my favorite faction, and the second I got this book, I could not wait to play them.
I don't think you'd put it down.
No, I mean it's impossible. But anyways, it was quite a bit fun. It was at a place we've already gone to, a local shop.
Sure.
The first time we went there was really fun. There was about 16 people there the first time. This time had a few late cancellations, so it ended up being 9 of us.
Yeah, 9. So we had an odd number, a little bit smaller. Yeah. We played 1,500 points.
Mm-hmm.
We knew what missions we were playing before we went into it. It was 3 rounds. We played Sweep and Clear first, then Battle Lines, and then Surround and Destroy. So that kind of played into how we knew how to build our armies, being a hold 1, hold 2 for all the missions and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It was a whole lot of fun. There were, what did we say, 9 players?
Yeah, 9 players.
How'd the meta look like?
So, obviously, my Grey Knights, CJ was playing Space Wolf Successor.
Haha.
We had Black Templars, Dark Angels, Death Watch, 1 Astra Militarum, which was Sean. You've all seen him. And then 1 Necrons player, and then 2 guys using the new Orcs Codex.
New Orcs, yes.
Yeah, it was pretty fun.
It was a lot of power armor there.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of power armor.
A lot.
But seeing the new Orcs on the table was pretty sweet.
Yeah, I'm excited for them too. So eventually I'll get mine painted up and we'll see. I got too many projects.
You want to tell us about the army list you ended up taking to this event?
Yeah, so CJ and I played about 6 games.
Well, yeah, we played a bunch.
Yeah, a lot of games leading up to the tournament. He was deciding between Demons and Space Marines.
Iron Hand, Space Wolves, whatever. But there's a lot to unpack here.
There was a lot here. So I'll go over the evolution of the list at the end here, but the list I ended up taking starts off with the Grandmaster Dread Knight, Nemesis Dread Knight. He is my warlord, right? I did pay to give him 2 warlord traits, which he ended up with Hymn of Righteousness and Nemesis Lord. Hymn of Righteousness is +1 to wound. If he charges, he is charged or does a heroic intervention. Nemesis Lord is 6s to hit, automatically wound. I pay... The nasty combination is you pay to give him Servant on the Throne, which is a character upgrade, right? Sure. And so that's a 3 once per game, 3-up invuln.
Clutch.
The relic I gave him is Sigil of Exigence. So again, once per battle, the first time he's targeted with a shooting attack, you can pick him up and just move him.
Just move him wherever you want. 9 inches away.
Yeah.
It's just a redeploy, essentially, right?
Yeah, it's really good. And then as far as war gear, he's got the heavy side cannon, the silencer, Gatling silencer, and then the Nemesis Greatsword, which I think is the way to go.
Oh yeah.
Total points, he's 235 points for that combination. We basically have decided that combination is pretty much an auto-include in the list.
Auto-include every single list.
Yeah, unless you're playing Word Makers, because you can't take him and Voltus. Anyways, my Librarian, the most important unit in the game, in the army list, I think,
by far,
is he has his Force Stave. I pay the 5 points for the Stormbolter. I pay the 1 CP for the extra relic, which is basically a relic Stormbolter called the Fury of Demos. He for now can pick between both Dominus and Sanctic, right? So you give him Vortex of Doom, you give him Purifying Flame, and I gave him the upgrade for Jim and Vinlock 2, which is a once per battle +2 to cast.
Yeah. Why do you do all that? What's that do?
Between 2 different strats, right? You have a 1 CP strat for roll 3 dice, discard the lowest for all his casting that phase.
Whole phase.
You have another CP strat to give him for him to cast another spell that he knows. And I also pay for the 1 CP to give him a warlord trait, which is Psychic Epitome, which is +1 mortal wound to anytime he does a mortal wound. In total, you're casting Vortex, you're casting Smite, and you're casting Purifying Flame. Assuming all those go off, that can do a maximum amount of damage, not including the splash from Vortex of Doom, of 21 mortal wounds.
That's a lot.
In 1 turn.
1 turn.
For
21.
a model that only costs you 125 points.
So the name of the game is to trade up with this guy.
Yeah.
And how do you do that?
You deep strike him. You spend that 1 CP strat to roll 3 dice, and then you spend another 1 CP strat for him to cast an additional spell he knows. And he will redeem his points. In total, between all 3 of my matches, he redeemed over 9 times his points value.
Insane. Yeah. Can't get any better than that for a competitive game.
As far as we are concerned here, these are 2 auto-include models. Period.
Gotta have them.
The way they're set up. We go on to troops. 2 units of strike squads, all with falchions. Their Justicars have swords. I got a unit of Terminators. The Paragon has a Force Stave, and then the rest of the guys have halberds. Elites, I have a unit Apothecary. I also pay 15 points for Presage Paralysis, which is a character upgrade. It's a gift. Once per battle, as long as he's on the battlefield, I just look at a unit I want to charge, and I say, hey, you can't set to defend. You can't Overwatch either.
Yeah, we thought that was just like filling out 15 points, right? Or whatever it was.
Yeah.
But it does a lot of work.
That's really clutch, especially when you're charging in this monster of a unit.
Yeah,
right?
prevented me from overwatching it with the Dreadnought.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Then you go to Fast Attack, which in our opinion, this is my opinion most certainly, this is the best unit in the book now.
Meat and potatoes.
Interceptors. I have 2 units of 5. One of them has, the Justicar has a Force Stave. The other one has a Halberd. I would run both of them with Force Staves. And then I have 2 units of Nemesis Dread Knights, the same, kitted out the same way the Grandmaster is, with a sword, heavy silencer, a guidance silencer, and heavy sight cannon. They don't have the teleporters. The Grandmaster does have a teleporter.
Sure.
And
And
that's the army list.
What's the general plan with this army list when you approach a table not knowing your opponent or the mission?
So the reason why I constructed it the way that it is because of how interceptors are. Basically, with the spell the interceptors are casting, they're moving 12 inches. They cast their spell, they can shoot, and then move again. So I took engage in all of my games.
Yes.
So turn 1, I'm in all 4 quarters, assuming their spells go off, because they're Sanctic spells now. And all Sanctic spells can be cast with an escalating cost by different units, right?
Sure.
Just the same way Smite does.
So interceptors move up to 24 inches in a turn?
Can move up to 24 inches in 1 turn.
Yikes.
And shoot. Seriously. If you want to play real cagey with them, you move them, they're 12 inches, you shoot them, and then you move them back behind cover so they can't be targeted. I mean, that's just... There's so much utility there, and they're only 120 points.
So on top of that, so you have the plan to engage, and naturally, rotting or retrieving Octarius data just rolls straight into that.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yep. And then, I mean, your 2 units of strike squads hung back by your objectives and your deployment zone. I use the Terminators to move up with the Apothecary in tow, and then you've got the 2 interceptor units on separate quarters that push forward, right? The Nemesis Dread Knights, they're there to do Dread Knighty things, which is delete stuff, right? So that's what they're there for.
Yep.
That's the army list. That's about the 3rd iteration of the list after playing all the games that we played, which we'll go into we got there.
Well, yeah, we'll talk about that here in just a bit. But
yeah.
We'll roll into kind of how the matches went and all that.
All right, so here we are with the match results. Round 1, I went up against one of the new Orc Codex armies there.
Yeah, and we're playing Sweep and Clear round 1.
Sweep and Clear. I ended up winning that match 87-40. I took Engage, I took Grind Them Down, and I took Retrieve Octarius data, or ROD as it's affectionately known, right?
So you went and you had your game plan, at least an Engage and ROD straight up.
Oh yeah, I mean, this army is built for that. I mean, handily, right?
Why'd you take Grind on that one?
Because the way this army is designed, it's got 3 really beady units, right? And then with the Librarian, 4, really. They're really hard to shift, these units. So for the most part, they can get rid of chaff, and I'm going to get Grind pretty much every turn. And I pretty much max Grind. I maxed out Grind on all 3 of my matches, or got real close to maxing out every single time because of the way these units are designed.
And if I remember right, his army was a couple units of truck boys. He had like 3 trucks.
He had 3 trucks.
A battle wagon with mega knobs. He had a bunch of the new Squig Hog boys, right? Yep. And then he had the Squigosaur.
The Beast Boss on Squigosaur.
Yeah.
And then...
I don't know what else.
He had some Burner boys.
Yeah.
Some highlights of that match. Basically, He got rid of 5 Terminators, or not 5 Terminators, sorry, 5 of my Interceptors.
The whole game.
I chickened out and with my Terminators and didn't do enough with them. I mean, I still ended up winning, but they didn't really do anything that game. The big MVP of that was the Grandmaster Nemesis Dread Knight and the Librarian. I mean, the Librarian came down turn 2 because I deep struck him, right? And that's the game plan here, and he just annihilated the Squirgosaur boss. He got rid of all the Squighog boys. He got rid of, and I think a unit of some of his boys or something between shooting and psychic.
Yeah, and you said he lasted more than just one turn this game, right?
Oh yeah, more than one turn. I mean, that's why I gave him the relic of the Fury of Demos, because it's a relic Stormbolter, right? So it's Rapid Fire 2. This Strength 5, Rapid Fire 3, sorry. Strength 5, -2, 2 damage. So he can use that to just wipe up.
He just finishes whatever he didn't finish with with spells.
Cool. Yeah.
So after that,
that's the overall
on orcs.
Yeah, on orcs.
So match 2, what was that?
I was very unlucky on match 2.
Who'd you draw?
My heart broke.
Who'd you draw?
I drew him. He again was playing a Space Wolf Successor Chapter, and it is a list I have never beaten. At least with not the only time I ever have is with Custodes. So I've never beaten it.
So it's just a bone stock like Jamie Paris type of successors with Whirlwind of Rage and Born Heroes, double exploding 6s on everybody, 3 units of Assault Intercessors, 3 units of Wolf Guard. I did bring 2 Redemptors and
with Microplasm
and some Eliminators for some objective stuff, Wolves, that kind of deal. But we were playing Battle Lines, which is 4 missions, 4 objectives on a very strange board for us.
Yeah, it was city terrain.
City streets on the mat, which were diagonal, which is opposite of Hammer and Anvil.
Yeah.
And the only terrain we had was buildings. You couldn't go in them.
Yeah.
There were no ruins.
And it was like clear. There were clear like
lanes of fire,
shooting lanes
from one deployment zone to the other, even to the objective. So we knew going into it, it was just going to be a murder fest.
Oh yeah, it was really crazy.
It was super close. How'd that one end up?
That game was super brutal. I had 5 models left. He had 5 models left by the end of it. Yeah. I took Engage, I took Grind again, and I took Retrieve Octarius data. And it ended up being 63-63.
It's a tie.
Yep. My Librarian was clutch again there. However, that list is just so nasty. He was gone once he turned 3.
I thought it was over turn 2, but I was able to squeak it back out. You were way ahead after turn 2. You blew me off the board for the most part. But some daring plays because I was so far behind.
Yeah.
We played like 6 games leading up to this event.
Yeah. With
like a combination of Space Wolves and Demons versus this. So you know all my secrets and how I play Warhammer. So it's not fair.
Yeah.
But yep, that was a good tie there. And then who'd you draw for the last and final round for Surrounded Destroy mission?
Deathwatch.
Deathwatch.
I also played him the first time we were at the same place with the first time we tournament there.
Sure.
I ended up winning this one 79-73. The battle ready points was what saved me for the 10 points there. I took Engage, I took Rod, and this time I took Assassinate instead of Grind because he had 4 characters.
That's a lot. That's 13 points.
Oh, yeah. So, I maxed those out. Obviously, because one's the Warlord, right? You get the extra point for that. I do like the way he runs his list because he puts like basically just a Death Star of characters and units in this Corvus Black Star, right? He ended up he won the deployment roll off. He picked the zone and he went first. Very first thing he does is he brings this plane over in my lines. Can't do nothing about it, right?
Makes you answer it.
Yeah, he basically just almost deleted a Dread Knight there at that point. He had like 2 wounds left, and then I couldn't kill it. My first turn, he drops his characters out and his units out, and this wipes out my interceptors that were there, and my strike squads.
Yep.
However,
what happened?
The most clutch unit again in the army, the Librarian, came down and he got rid of every single model he had in that plane in 1 turn.
1 turn.
It might have been. He might have had 1 model left, I think.
Either way.
Yeah, either way. he cleared out every model in that plane by himself, right?
So he himself was like 400-ish points that
Oh,
game?
yeah.
Is what he traded up to?
Yeah.
It sounds like.
It's because of the mortal wound capabilities of that model right there is unbelievable what he can do. Knock on wood, it doesn't get FAQ'd, right?
Let's leave him having both of his disciplines.
The Terminators were able to do some work there. I did lose one, but my Apothecary again came in clutch. Our Apothecaries now are decent. They just heal a unit D3 mortal wounds.
Yep.
And then if there's someone's dead, they got a CP strat to bring one back.
Sure.
That's pretty good.
That's awesome. So you ended at 2 wins and a draw. And that was good enough for first place.
Yep.
So congratulations. Tell me and everyone else how you got here on your list.
So it took me a while to get my book. All the information I was going off of is everything I had seen on YouTube and read online about him. So I initially I wanted to run Drago because he got his 3-up invuln back.
Everybody said he was an auto include.
Right, and the Mastercrafted Stormbolter is really good now. -1, 2 damage. So I wanted to run Drago. But I knew this Grandmaster Dread Knight combination existed, and I was like, okay, that's got to be ran.
It's got to be
There's
here,
no option.
right?
You have to run it, right? So my first list was the GMDK, the way he's set up here, plus Drago. I had 3 units of Strike Squads, and then I had, again, the 2 units of Interceptors, same way they are here. And then I had 3 Nemesis Dread Knights. Because when the book first came out, and I was hearing I was reading all this stuff about how good Dread Knights are and Strike Squads are. I was like, I want to show up to this tournament and I want to see the look on people's faces when they see they got to go up against 4 Nemesis Dread Knights. Right? That was my thought process.
Oh, I mean, it's strong playing. They improved so much.
Oh yeah, they're disgusting now. The problem is the Brotherhood I picked was Rapiers, which in my opinion, Rapiers, Swordbearers, and Wardmakers are the 3 best Brotherhoods. But Rapiers didn't really work with this list, being
not with the GMDK or the Dread Knights.
With the Dread Knights, because the way the Rapiers work, right, they're more centered on exploding 6s with a bunch of dudes, and then the tide of convergence trying to get those, some mortal wounds.
Just spamming attacks. Yeah. It doesn't help to just give a Dread Knight an extra attack.
It's not useful.
So you pivoted to
Swordbearers. I basically ran the same list, but it was just Swordbearers, and it's still just, it didn't feel good. The problem is both of those lists with 4 Dread Knights gives up too many points for
secondary points.
Bring It Down, and Abhor, and then Assassination still too.
He gives up so many points on the GMDK. I mean, you have 2 for Bring It Down, 4 for Assassinate if he's your Warlord, or 3, and then 3 more for Abhor. So it's like 10 points for one model, 8 points.
Yeah.
Too much.
Yeah. So we had to do another adjustment. So
we stayed Swordbearers?
Stayed Swordbearers.
Yep. And we were looking at Swordbearers because they are good at basically pointing at one unit a turn and deleting it.
Yeah, so like their Brotherhood spell is target one unit. All Swordbearers vehicles units are +1 to wound that one unit, right? So that works really well with Dread Knights.
Leans into the Dread Knight.
Yeah. Their strat, you have to be 12 inches away. It's a 1 CP strat, and it's everyone's +1 to hit that unit, right? So that's just disgusting. I don't care much for their Warlord trait. Yeah. But those two things right there are very good for Swordbearers. Again, I didn't want to give up so many Bring It Down points, and so I dropped one of the Dread Knights.
Sure.
And I was like, man, they're not good anymore, really. But I want to try Terminators, and I wanted to try an Apothecary. So I just was like, you know what? Let's just drop the Dread Knight.
Yep.
Let's add the Apothecary. Let's add the Terminators. And then let's put the Librarian in, right? Because just reading the book through and reading all that stuff was like, okay.
Everybody was talking about this Librarian, so we're like, well, we got to check this out. Right?
I got to do it. Because, that just sounds gross. And then,
lo and behold, who knew that Mortal Wounds were good right now?
Oh, yeah. They're so good.
So where we ended up at this list, I think everyone says Drago's an auto include, which he may be at 2,000 points.
Yeah.
But at 1,500, I think you have to have the librarian and you have to have the GMDK the way they are. They're just so powerful. Mm-hmm. And we were hunting for that third character just to carry Gate for you. We looked at a few different, a brother captain, not a company champion.
Company champion.
That's
brother
champion. Yeah, because you're a Grey Knight. Mm-hmm. But we settled on the apothecary because we weren't settled on the Terminators. I don't like the Terminators. Josh loves them. They are the best looking Terminators in the game.
I don't really like them anymore.
But we were like, hey, take 5 Terminators. And so it made most sense to bring the apothecary with them to get the most value out of that third character. Because you're able to res and heal and do all that stuff. Mm-hmm. But mainly the apothecary is there just for Gate. Mm-hmm. And that's just for scoring secondaries.
Yep.
Right. And depositing your firing or your firepower where it needs to go on the board on one specific turn. So how would you go from 1,500 points to 2,000 points?
If I stick with sword bearers, I have my list actually right here.
Or interceptors.
Yeah. The first thing is I get rid of the Terminators.
Yeah.
Bye. Not worth it. Not worth it. Get rid of them. Don't ever bring them. I get rid of the apothecary.
What goes there?
A chaplain.
A chaplain. Yep. Your double explodes.
The wards of power is really good. Our chaplains only cast on 3s. However, wards of power is exploding 6s to wound, which is so it's 2 mortal wounds. So it's 2 wounds, right, on 6s. And then if you're entitled convergence, that exploded hit also counts for entitled convergence. So not only are you getting 2 extra wounds, you're also getting 2 mortal wounds in addition to those extra wounds.
Yeah, you're just destroying Space Marines all day long with the mortals. So
yeah, so it's like, especially that would work really well in rapiers. But so that's the first thing I would do. Keep the Dread Knight, keep the librarian, 3 strike squads. I add the third Nemesis Dread Knight back in, and then the most important part is 27 interceptors.
27 is an odd number, but
just because of points the way that they are, because I give the chaplain, I gave the presage paralysis upgrade back to, which is again because that's super clutch.
No Overwatch.
So 2 units of 10 interceptors, and then 1 unit of 7. You put a force stave on the Justicars and the interceptors. Sure. That strat then there exists to give them a 5-up and 1 with the force stave. I mean,
it's huge.
Utility is so good there.
Yeah, you just combat squad them all. You end up with 4 units of 5 plus your unit of 7. You're jumping all over the board. You're moving. You're shooting in the psychic phase, or you're doing your objectives. You're always going to have engage. Always going to have rod. Plus whatever mission secondary you got, you have all the bodies to do it. Plus you still have all the DACA from the Dread Knight.
And it's points efficiency. I mean, again, that's how competitive play works. Yeah.
Sure. Sounds good for looking at the future for the Grey Knights. Their book is pretty deep. At first glance, like you only have a couple units that wear power armor and they do a few things, but you really change a lot based on the Brotherhood and exactly how you kit them out. So, very deep book. Mm-hmm. Good job finding the right list for 1,500 points.
Yeah, I think this is the
pretty close to optimal.
Yeah, pretty much optimal for 1,500 points.
So cool. I don't have much else to say today.
Me either.
Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate all the likes, all the subscribes, all the shares.
It helps us out quite a bit. And
would you say we hit how many subs?
Well, we're over 400 subs now. So
thank you very much.
Thank you guys again for that. We appreciate it very much.
Yep.
If you would like to see more of a tactics sort of thing, we can definitely go into that of why I did actual playing the list.
Sure.
If you'd like to see some sort of video similar to this with CJ's list,
the old Space Wolves or any power armor guys, it's all the same. But
CJ's, I just want to point out real quick, I would not have played this as well as I did if it wasn't for him, because he's way more tactically minded than I am, right? So it's because of his training, I should say. I mean, it really is training, right? And that's the reason why I
brings you up to a super strong level with a super strong book. So keep it up. We've got another event coming up soon. More casual.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it afterwards, though. We'll hash out what armies we're going to play and kind of go that way. But I think they're just going to be big, beady robot lists this time. Iron
Fun.
Hands with all dreadnoughts and repulsor, but whatever. That's next time. Anyways, thanks for tuning in
Thank
to
you, guys.
Tabletop Corps, and we will see you next time.